prepping for a hot V-Date or you're just looking to get tipsy in the tub, wine and chocolate might be on the menu. These two seem like they're a match made in heaven, but that's not actually always the case. I'm Rebecca Rose Phillips, sommelier, wine director, and fast food buff. And in this video, I'm going to pair 4 different wines with 4 different types of chocolate to see if we can find a perfect match. All right, my little Valentine wines. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fast food pairings, wine reviews, and pro tips. And hit that bell to make sure you're notified every time I post a new video. Okay, so the tricky thing about pairing red wines and chocolate is tannin. Tannin is a naturally occurring substance that is in both chocolate and wine. Tannin's that thing that dries out your mouth a little bit. It kind of feels like sandpaper on your tongue and makes you do that thing at the end. So what we're trying to do is find a wine that's big and full enough to stand up to all those dark cocoa flavors, but low enough in tannin that it doesn't give us a bad texture in the mouth. So the wines that we have today, I've got a Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. Now, Cabernet Sauvignon is generally a high tannin grape, but I'm hoping that the heat in Paso Robles has made this so big and fruity that it's still going to be complementary. Next, I have a Zinfandel. Now, Zinfandel is a moderate tannin grape, so we're not super worried about the tannin. What Zinfandel does have is some really nice spice and cherry and all these yummy flavors that I think is gonna pair really well with the cocoa. And over here, I have some fortified wines. Now, we're not so much worried about tannin with these. These are gonna be more of a complementary pairing. These are higher in alcohol and they're really full of big fat flavor. So that is gonna be like a sweet on sweet pairing. So for our chocolates, ooh, I've got an assorted truffle pack from Lindt. We've got milk chocolate, we've got dark chocolate, there's some hazelnut stuff, we've got some white chocolate, which I'm really excited about. There's some pecan clusters, and that's about it. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so the good news is this was like the most fun experiment I've ever done in my life. The bad news is the red wines, they didn't work out so great. They weren't terrible. In fact, the thing I was the most worried about was tannin, and the chocolates were so creamy and velvety in my mouth that tannin was not a problem. What ended up being the problem was the acid in the wine. So the fruit kind of stood up. On the nose, it matched the chocolate, but then on the mouth, the structure sort of just went to acid. So you would taste the velvet chocolate and then it would just be like high acidity in your mouth. So like a tart berry. Now, I didn't hate that. I actually really like acidity. So for me, it wasn't like terrible. I wasn't like, oh, this is terrible. It just wasn't like, oh, this is a fantastic layered pairing. The sweet wines, however, were money. Okay, so this is Madeira. If you've never had a Madeira, do yourself a Valentine's Day favor, baby, and go get yourself a Madeira. It tastes like cookie dough and cinnamon and vanilla and nuts. It's so delicious. Then I've got my bad boy here, Pedro Jimenez. He's like the sweetest of the sherries. He's sticky, he's brown sugar, he's plums, he's raisins. So he was like sweet on sweet on sweet with the chocolate. It was an absolutely complimentary pairing. It was like dynamite, but it was super sweet. While the Madeira has a little bit more acid, so it was a little bit more dynamic, and then it gave you this sort of like last flavor of nuttiness. For me, the Madeira was the best out of all of them. That was my favorite. Out of the dry wines, like I said, they weren't terrible. They just didn't like totally do what a good pairing does. And that is make the food taste better and make the wine taste better. Out of the dry wines, I liked the Zin a little bit better. There was almost a little bit of butteriness on this, I think probably from the oak treatment in the wine. And that paired nicely with the chocolate. You got a little like cherry spice, vanilla notes. And then like I said, it did just sort of end with like an acidic, kind of like a tart berry. Like the last flavor was like an underripe blueberry. Not bad, just not dynamic. You know what I mean? All right, so there you have it. Wine and chocolate. We kissed some frogs, but we found our prince. And we had fun doing it. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more wine tips, fast food pairings, and crazy canned wine reviews. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook for all my daily shenanigans at Let's Talk About Wine. And please don't forget, wine goes with everything.